and welcome back to a new video. I'm really excited to have finally getting around to filming this video. This is my what I watched in April video, and I'm sorry that it is a little bit late. I was hoping to film it last weekend, but I just didn't get around to it last weekend, so here it is now. I watched 23 films in April, so I do have quite a lot to go through, so it's probably going to be a longer video. I can tell you that I think in May it's going to be shorter. This is the 13th of May, and I've so far watched 4 films, so May might be a shorter month, but yeah, 23 for April, so let's get started. The first film that I watched in April, unfortunately, was Ingrid Goes West. I gave this only half a star. This came out in 2017, and just for me, I personally just really didn't enjoy it. I feel like I can't fully say what I didn't enjoy about it without spoiling some of the film, because it was a lot of the end that I didn't really enjoy, the very end. I mean, it was not something that I was quite enjoying anyway throughout. I know a lot of people have enjoyed this film and do really like it. So, you know, I was finding it okay, and some bits I was like, oh, you know, I wasn't really interested in it. But then by the end, I started to really just, you know, not like the film and not like some of the messages that it had and some of the things it had. And I guess people could argue it from different viewpoints, but the way that I felt that it was, I just really didn't enjoy that. So I did give it half a star, and I have since now unhauled the film. So that was Ingrid Goes West. I'm sure you've probably all heard of it. It's about this girl who becomes obsessed with this other girl's Instagram account. She kind of starts stalking her, but it doesn't, I don't know, it's just a weird one, but it was very, I don't know, but I think Aubrey Plaza did a good job, because her character, she played her character very well. The sun is like literally just changing. I'm sorry, I don't know how it is for you, but for me it just got really dark. But it could have been too bright before. Anyway, Ingrid Goes West wasn't really one that I enjoyed. Next, I watched Dustin Checks In from 1996. I gave this 3 stars. This was one that was on my shelf, and it was just a cute little family film from the 90s about this boy who lives in this hotel. He's actually the little boy from Santa Claus, you know, Santa Claus the movie, the one with Tim Allen. He's the little boy from that, so I did quite like him. He was really good. He lives in this hotel, and then this monkey or chimpanzee, I don't know, checks into the hotel, and things start going on, and it's just a really, you know, I'm sure you can imagine what this film is. It's a family film. There's a boy living in a hotel, and there's a monkey in the hotel, and you know, so that was okay. It was what it was. The next one that I watched was At Any Price from 2012, and this has Dennis Quaid in, who I love. Dennis Quaid, I don't know what it is, I just really love him. When I was younger, I watched The Parent Trap all the time, and obviously he's in The Parent Trap, so I've always loved Dennis Quaid. This also has Zac Efron in, who I do quite like. He's not the best, but he's fine. I don't have any kind of problems with him. But I only gave this film 2.5 stars because I was really enjoying it. Basically, on the front cover, it kind of looks like it's a race car driving film, is what it's kind of pitched as, because Zac Efron really wants to be a race car driver or a dirt track driver. He's into cars, he wants to do that kind of thing. And that's quite an interesting storyline in itself. However, most of the storyline is based around agriculture. They have a farm, and it's about, there's all these different farmers that they know, and it is kind of a lot about farming, the farming life, and the other farmers involved. It's kind of a lot about that, and I actually found it really, really interesting, and I really did quite enjoy that. However, again, I can't really explain what I didn't quite like about the film, because something happens like towards the end, or 2/3 of the way through, and the way that it then went on, I wasn't really happy with how that was resolved, or how it was not resolved, I guess. I just was a bit like, not sure how I feel about that. So it was a bit unsure, so I gave it 2.5, but I'm glad I watched it, but I wouldn't watch it again, and it was a bit weird at the end there. So there we go. The next one that I watched was a rewatch, and it was The Fox and the Hound from 1981. I used to love The Fox and the Hound. I gave it 4 stars upon rewatch, because I kind of felt like I used to love it more, but I still loved it. It was still great. I'd watch it again, you know, a bunch of times in the future. Josh had never seen The Fox and the Hound, and I was like, what? You need to see The Fox and the Hound, because it is a real Disney classic, especially a Disney animal classic, and I always loved it to no end, and it's always really sad as well. But yeah, I enjoyed rewatching it again. It's a Disney classic. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. It is a must-watch Disney movie, and it's got a really interesting kind of message, and it's kind of a bit dark, and it's a really good one. The next film that I watched was The Forest from 2016. Again, I gave this 2.5 stars because it was kind of okay. It was about, and I can't remember the real name for it. There's a proper, Japanese name for this forest, but technically, people call the forest Suicide Forest. And that was what it's about. It's kind of pitched as a horror film, but it's not really particularly horror. And it's about this girl whose sister has gone missing in Suicide Forest. Again, I can't remember the Japanese name for the forest. And she wants to go and try and find her sister. And everyone's saying, no, don't go in there, because, a lot of people go in there, don't come back out of there, and they're advising her not to go in there. But then she managed to get this tour guide, and she just go in looking for her sister. And at points, it was really interesting. I didn't quite know where it was going to go. It took some twists and turns. But then overall, by the end, I was like, oh, it was kind of one of those, it's like a bit of a horror film. It was interesting. It kind of gave you some ideas of what could have happened or what could have been really cool. And then it just did this, like, kind of easier option at the end. And I was like, oh, okay. But, it was enjoyable enough, but it wasn't anything amazing. The next film that I watched was also a rewatch, and that was Dreamer from 2005. I gave this 4 stars. I loved rewatching this. It was just the best. I'd watched some not good films so far this month at this point, and then I watched this and I was like, yes, I'm so happy that I rewatched this. It was just an absolutely random rewatch. I just picked a film that I really quite fancied watching and watched it, which sounds like a normal thing to do, but I often don't do that. I usually watch a film because, oh, I want to watch it because it's a Monday Movie Hunt, or oh, I want to watch it because it's on the shelf, or I want to watch it because I want to decide whether or not I want to get rid of it, or, there's usually some kind of reason. But I didn't have a reason, and then throughout this month you'll notice I kind of went off on that trend because I was like, well, this is great. Anyway, Dreamer was lovely and I loved it. I used to love this film when I was younger. I wasn't sure how it would hold up, but it did. It held up and I thought it was great. It's a great horse film. If you like horse films and you haven't seen Dreamer, I would really recommend it. It's got Kurt Russell and Dakota Fanning in when she was younger, and it's just a really, really lovely film, and I could watch it again today and be super happy and just watch it again. So yeah, totally would recommend Dreamer if you enjoy nice, feel-good films. I really loved it. The next one that I watched was Bad Neighbours, or Neighbours, from 2014. I gave this 2 stars. It was a rewatch, sorry, this was. I rewatched Neighbours. And the reason why I rewatched it is because I really want to watch Bad Neighbours 2. Now, I own Bad Neighbours 2, and it's got Chloe Grace Moretz in, who I love. And so I'm really excited to watch it. So I wanted to rewatch Neighbours because, well, I didn't want to rewatch Bad Neighbours, but Josh had never seen the first Bad Neighbours. So he was like, oh yeah, I'd want to watch that. So I was like, okay, fine, we'll watch the first one, and then I'll rewatch the first one, then I'll be able to watch the second one. Did I watch the second one yet? Nope. But I did rewatch Bad Neighbours, and again, it was just, it wasn't that funny. It was just kind of okay. I didn't really love it, so I have unhauled it. And I haven't watched the second one yet, and I want to watch the second one. I'm interested to watch it. I really like Chloe Grace Moretz, but I just didn't really enjoy this first one. I think I'll enjoy the second one more just because she is in it, and I really like her as an actress. But either way, this one was just 2 stars. But, I had actually watched it twice, so it can't be all too terrible. The next film on my list is Star Wars: The Force Awakens from 2015. This, of course, was a rewatch. I gave it 5 stars. And, of course, I was rewatching this in preparation to watch The Last Jedi, which came out on Blu-ray in April. And I loved The Force Awakens. It's fantastic. I love the new characters. I love Rey and Finn and BB-8 and Poe, and I love this film. I think it's great. I love the other, the older members of the cast returning and coming back, and it's just great. What I didn't like the first 2 times or 3 times that I watched it, no, I think this is my 4th time watching it, but it was maybe just the first 2 times. Okay, so I have no idea where I was up to with Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So what happened was, I was telling you guys, oh, I watched Star Wars: The Force Awakens, I loved it, it's great. Oh, I think I was actually talking about Kylo Ren. Oh, well, I was about to talk about Kylo Ren. And then Josh came upstairs, and he knew I was filming a video, but then he came up the ladder, so I thought, oh, he obviously wants something particular. And he was like, oh, I really need help, I'm having a disaster in the kitchen. And I was like, right. He says, yeah, I was washing out this water bottle with like boiling water from the kettle, and I was shaking it and the lid exploded off and the water went all over the ceiling and it's everywhere. And then also there's a massive bee, it was pretty big, the big bee has come in the house and gotten stuck. How do I open the other side of the French door? So I was like, oh god. So I went downstairs and like we've like dried the ceiling, like it was fine, it was just plain water, and then got rid of the bee, and now I've come back and I feel like it's been like 25 minutes, so I really have no idea where I was up to. But I think I was going to say I didn't like Kylo Ren the first couple of times. This time in Force Awakens I liked him a bit better, so there we go. 5 stars, rewatched it. That was maybe all I had to say. The next film that I rewatched was Look Who's Talking from 1989. This was John Travolta and Kirstie Alley. I thought I would love this more. I'd seen it years ago and I enjoyed it somewhat, and I've seen all the sequels as well, but I just didn't it didn't kind of hold up too well. And I love John Travolta and Kirstie Alley as well, so I thought I was going to love it a lot more, and I just didn't really, so I have on hold that one as well as the whole series, or I'm going to. So yeah, that's Look Who's Talking. I gave it 3 stars. The next one was Star Wars The Last Jedi from 2017. I gave this 4.5 stars. So I really did enjoy it, but I feel like it wasn't as good as The Force Awakens. I wanted more of BB-8 for sure, and maybe more of the little Porg characters that are cute. I also felt like there were some parts that were really, really good that I was like, yes, I love this. And there was some kind of paths that it was taking that I was really, really interested in and wanted it to kind of carry along that path, but it didn't. And then there was a few parts I was like, oh, it kind of went on a little bit long. I feel like maybe this one was a bit long. I feel like it could have been cut down a bit. But there was quite a lot going on at different times. I did really enjoy it. I feel like I'd maybe enjoy it even more on a rewatch, because I kind of know what I'm going into now. You know, I loved The Force Awakens really a lot, and I just rewatched it and I was like, yes, I love it. So I kind of went into The Last Jedi with really maybe too high expectations. But considering I wasn't too let down, I mean, I still gave it 4.5. I did really enjoy it. But some parts were a little bit slow. Some parts were really cool though. So I feel like it evened itself out. But I could have done with a bit more BB-8, because I love BB-8. But yeah, there we go. The next one I watched was All I See Is You from 2016. This has Blake Lively in, and so that was kind of why I picked it up. I kind of thought it was going to be a bit of a thriller, and in a way, no, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. I was going to say in a way it was, but it really wasn't. It's about this woman who has been blind since maybe she was like 6 or 7, or since she was quite young. And then she gets this operation so that she's able to see again. And it was more about her and her relationship with her husband, who she's obviously never seen, because she was blind since she was a child. So she's never seen her husband, and when she has this operation and stuff, the lead up to the operation and the possibility of, maybe being able to see and all sorts of things, and how this affects her and her relationship. Now that aspect of it I didn't enjoy quite too much, but what I did love about this is the way that it was filmed. Sometimes was kind of annoying, but in some ways it made you really appreciate sight and being able to see, and I feel like it used that really well. And there's also a really cute song in the film that I really, really loved, and I've been listening to a bunch. So there's a couple of songs in here that I think, were original songs for the film that I've now been listening to afterwards. So I gave this 3 stars. I don't think I would recommend it, because I don't think many people would quite enjoy it. But, I was able to take something from it, and I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting watch, and it kind of opened your eyes up. That wasn't supposed to be a pun, but opened your eyes up to like, it kind of gave you a good perspective on what it was like for her, or what it might be like for people who are blind. I feel like it did a really good job of that. I mean, obviously I've not really got anything to go off, so I suppose I can't really say that. But for not having any personal experience, I suppose, I felt like it did a good job of that. The next one that I watched was Better Watch Out, also from 2016, and I gave this 3.5 stars. This is like a Christmas horror, and it was so different than what I thought it was going to be. So different. I gave it 3.5 because it got annoying a bit at times. Like sometimes it literally got really annoying, the main character. really frustrated me actually kind of throughout. He was annoying the whole time, but I was so shocked at points. I was like, no. And I loved it. I loved how surprised I was. I loved how creative this was and different, and it didn't just go along these kind of stereotypical routes. That was great. It was really great. I would watch it again at Christmas time. I thought sometimes at points this was really pretty good. So the reason I give it 3.5 is because at times it really was annoying though. So I know it's like contradictory, but I would recommend it because it's just fun to watch in terms of the surprises and the different things that happen. It's fun to watch. Definitely check it out at Christmas time if you like horrors, but just bear in mind that the main kid is kind of annoying, you know. The next one I watched was a rewatch, and that was Brother Bear from 2003. I gave this 4.5 stars. I loved this. I've always loved Brother Bear. Again, Josh had never seen it, so I'm kind of catching him up on some Disney films that he hasn't seen. And he really, really loved this one too. I'm sure you've all heard of Brother Bear. It's just a great, cute film. The music's fantastic. The story is great. It's just a really fantastic early 2000s Disney film. Because some early 2000s Disney films are a bit hit or miss, but Brother Bear is definitely a hit. The next one I watched, again, it was a rewatch. Like I say, I was just kind of rewatching a bunch of stuff this month. Was Remember Me from 2010. I really have a weird, like, soft spot for this film. I gave it 4.5 stars. And I absolutely thought that I wouldn't this time. I saw this in the cinema when it came out, and it completely blew me away because I didn't really know what it was about. And you know, you go through the whole film not quite knowing what the film's going to be, and then at the end it hits you with like a massive boulder of a thing, like this is what the film was about, and you're like, oh my god. But you know, when you first watch it, you don't know that, so it really blew me away the first time. And then I rewatched it a bunch because I really just enjoyed the film when I was younger, and I rewatched it quite a few times. And then I hadn't seen it in years, so I thought, I'm not really sure whether I'll enjoy this as much. Enjoy is not quite the right word, it's kind of a darker film in some ways. But I didn't think I would like it as much as I did previously. But I really found that I did. I thought that it was really great. Pierce Brosnan's in it, Belle from Once Upon a Time's in it, Robert Pattinson is in it, and the guy, I've forgotten his name, Belle's dad is somebody as well who, I can't remember his name though. And everybody, the cast is really fantastic, the story is really interesting, the kid, Robert Pattinson's little sister in the film is really, really good. So it's got a really good cast and a really interesting story, and it brings up a few kind of issues and thoughts, and I thought it was a really interesting film. So I was glad that I rewatched that one. The next one that I watched was Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman from 2017. I gave this 4 stars. I didn't quite know what this was about, or I didn't quite know the story, so I was really surprised. I thought it was really interesting, but I think at times it ran a little bit long. But that's just my opinion. I guess I don't even know how long it is, but it felt a little bit long. But I really did find it interesting, and I really did enjoy it as well. I think the way that it was done, it kind of flips back and forth a little bit, was really good, and the way that it kind of builds up, so you're not quite sure. I mean, if you know the story, it's obviously based on a true story, then you obviously know how it's going to go. But if you don't know this true story that's based on it, you're not quite sure at points in which direction it's actually going to go, and then it actually goes in its own direction, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is where it's going. And yeah, it was an interesting film about something that you don't really see any films on. That's kind of all I can say on that, but it was different, definitely, than nearly anything I've seen, and I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. The next one that I watched was Human Flow from 2017 also, and I gave this 3 stars. This was a documentary about refugees coming from Syria and maybe some other places as well, and kind of travelling on and through and going through Jordan and all sorts of things. It was like a bunch of different stories, to be fair. I think sometimes documentaries can be a bit glammed up and, you know, make it look, I don't know, you know, different than it is, and this one just didn't do that at all, and I did like that about it, because it was just real, and it was just like a guy was there filming it, and that was kind of how it was. But I could have done with a bit more. I feel like it did need a little bit more spicing up. Like, it needed a bit more of a voiceover, or giving some more information, or maybe just more informative. I feel like I was just seeing people going through what they were going through, but with having not ever, you know, had to experience that myself, I wasn't able to relate to them that much or know quite what they were going through, because there wasn't enough factual points in there, I guess. I don't know. And it was really long as well. I think it's like nearly 3 hours, or it's like over 2.5 hours. I don't know. It's very long, and it was just kind of dry. But I felt like I really wanted to watch a really good documentary on that subject, but this really wasn't it. So yeah, I don't know. So I was a bit disappointed in that, but I still found like that I liked the realness of it, and obviously I gave it 3 stars. But it's hard to rate a documentary, especially on a subject like you don't really want to. But either way, I don't know that I would recommend it. Basically, if you wanted to watch a documentary on that subject, I don't think this is the one. I think there'll be a better documentary than this one, basically. Next is Stronger from 2017 with Jake Gyllenhaal. I gave this 4 stars, but in hindsight, maybe I would give it 3.5. It's based on a true story about the Boston Marathon terrorist attacks, or the Boston Marathon bombers. Well, no, it's not about them. It's about a guy who was in the crowd at the Boston Marathon, and he loses his legs, and it's kind of his story. And a lot of people try to be fair, it was really good, because a lot of people try to they do that whole Boston Strong thing, and they're like, yeah, you're Boston Strong, and everybody's cheering for him, everybody wants to interview him, everybody's telling him he's amazing and he's doing such a good job, and he's so heroic, and he's this and that and this, and he just doesn't get that, and he doesn't feel that himself. He doesn't feel like he's Boston Strong. He just feels like he's, you know, gone through this terrible kind of situation, and he's just trying to deal with it. He just wants to deal with it kind of on his own, and his family are trying to kind of get in on the money and this and that. And I thought it was a really interesting, different way to look at things, because obviously we do see that a lot. So yeah, it was interesting. I gave it 4 stars. I stand by my 4 stars now. I was kind of questioning it at first, and then when I thought about it and the issues that it delved into, I was like, yeah, no, 4 stars. So the next one was a rewatch was The Glass Castle from 2017. I gave it 5 stars. Of course, it's still my favourite film that I've watched, my favourite new film that I've watched this year so far. I loved it. It's fantastic. The cast is amazing. The story is amazing, and it completely blew me away, as it did the previous time. So yeah, I would absolutely recommend this, but I have talked about it before, you know, this year as well, so I won't go into it too much. The next one that I rewatched was The Perks of Being a Wallflower from 2012. I gave this 5 stars as well. This was my favourite rewatch of the month, and I love this film. It's absolutely one of my favourite films of all time. It's just fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend it. If you kind of felt like it looked like a high school film and you didn't want to see it, I would still recommend it. The cast is great, it's funny, it's sad, it's heartfelt, it deals with a lot of issues. The music is fantastic. It's just overall really, really great film. I love it. The next one was another rewatch, and that was I Love You Man, which I gave 3.5 stars. It has Paul Rudd in, and Jason Segel, and I can't think who else, but there's 2 main guys in it who it's kind of about. And this is just a funny film. It's just a good comedy. Josh hadn't seen it, and we decided we're in the mood for comedy, so I was like, yeah, we'll watch this. And to be fair, since watching it, we've kind of been quoting different bits of it, and it's always good when you watch a comedy and then you end up quoting little bits of it back and forth afterwards. That's always fun. So yeah, it's fun. I'd watch it again in the future, but it's just a fun little comedy kind of thing. But yeah, I really like this one. The next one that I rewatched again was Source Code from 2011. Now the reason that I rewatched this was because I wanted to watch it to decide whether or not I wanted to keep it. I love the repeating of a day type of thing, and this is kind of like that. It's kind of repeating a day, but it does it in a very different way. The story's interesting. It kind of keeps you on your toes throughout the film. I had seen it before, but only last time I saw it was in the cinema, so like it was a long time ago. So I didn't quite remember the end, but I feel like I thought I knew the end. And then when the end came about, I was like, oh yeah, I did know this, obviously. And you know, it was okay. It just wasn't super satisfactory or super interesting. So I gave it 3 stars, and I will probably be unhauling that one. The next one was a new watch, and I watched Pitch Perfect 3 from 2017. I actually really enjoyed this. I enjoyed Pitch Perfect 3 more than Pitch Perfect 2, but not more than Pitch Perfect 1. And I really want to rewatch it again soon. I enjoyed the songs in it. I really liked the kind of ideas that it was dealing with. I really liked that they weren't in the school setting, or the university setting even. I liked that they'd moved on and got jobs, and they were talking about kind of their futures and just their lives and stuff, and I just really loved it. I've always enjoyed the Pitch Perfect films, so I thought I would like this one. I think on a rewatch, I might even enjoy it a bit more and give it 4.5. But I have to see. But yeah, loved it. Probably enjoyed it more than the second one, so that's pretty good. And the final one that I watched was Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle from 2017. I gave this one 3 stars. I thought it was really funny. I thought the cast were fantastic. I, however, didn't find the plot too interesting. Like, it was the plot that really let me down in this one. The cast was really, really good and really, really funny. And I loved a lot of the ideas that they had with this and a lot of things they did. I actually didn't mind the video game thing. I initially was like, oh, you know, the change in Jumanji to be a new Jumanji based on video games, I wasn't sure how that would be. But then because it was like a classic, you know, retro kind of 80s video game style, it was funnier, it was better. I'm glad they didn't do it like, you know, modern day. I also don't know how they would have done that, but either way, that was fun. I liked that. And, you know, I did really enjoy it. I probably would have given it 3.5, because looking back, it had some great moments, but I just found like the plot was a little bit, it just wasn't much for me. I just needed a bit more to it. I don't know. Literally, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is really funny, the character's great, but the plot just never grabbed me. I don't really know how to explain that, but literally, it just never at one point, I was never really interested in the story. I was more interested in the funny little humour and the relationship between the characters is what I was interested in, and obviously that's its main focus, but I just felt like it needed a bit more plot, or a clearer plot. Like the villain, I literally can't remember his name, I didn't care at all about that. I don't know, but I wasn't really going in with high expectations or anything, but I just feel like, because it was so funny, I feel like it could have been a bit better actually, and I would have really, really loved it. But I definitely will be watching it again. It's more of a high 3. Maybe I should have given it 3.5, maybe I was being a bit harsh, I don't know. But those are all the films I watched in April. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs up if you did. I will come back to you at the end of, well, no, in June at some point with the May video, as always. But thumbs up if you enjoy these. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on any of these films, or on anything that you watched in the month. Oh, no! Tell me your favourite film that you watched in April. My favourite new film was Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Is that my favourite new film? Ba-ba-dum. I would say it's probably tied between Star Wars: Last Jedi and Pitch Perfect 3. My favourite rewatch was The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Obviously it's close between The Perks of Being a Wallflower and The Glass Castle, but I'd say The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So yeah, let me know yours in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!